We're back, just in time to celebrate 242 years of American liberty. This holiday, along with just about everything else that celebrates the good things about America, tends to aggravate a little bit of confusion among progressives, probably because it represents so much that they do not stand for.
Community advocates and activists here in Raleigh and in Durham pleading with their followers on social media not to celebrate the 4th of July this year, telling folks don't buy the hot dogs, don't buy the fireworks, no celebrations until the nation lives up to its values.
I hope it's going to start a chain reaction.
Well, happily, not everybody is prompted to have a beef or a problem on a day like today. And we'll talk about their values in just a moment.
Once every year, the time is finally here. We're celebrating Independence Day.
About this time, memes like this one start getting recirculated around the internet, which proves that the left still can't meme, but it also proves just how far so-called liberals have strayed from classical liberalism, and why I have long ceased calling leftists by that label. Are non-progressives today more like the Redcoats back then? And are leftists today more like the colonials? Let's explore that. Let's talk taxes. Now, thanks to a huge state endeavor, the Crown was interested in trying to raise as much revenue from the colonies as possible through taxes. Today, progressives love to increase taxes in the interest of further state endeavors, namely multitudinous state programs interested in micromanaging American lives. Meanwhile, most everyone else prefers to have lower taxes. Government coercion. Now, in response to the Tea Party, which was really perpetrated by relatively few people, the Crown wanted to punish the entire port of Boston. And likewise, today, progressives, in response to relatively small problems, prefer ham-fisted, huge, sweeping government interventionist policies in order to respond to it. Afraid that a tiny minority might get offended at something? Well, pass sweeping non-discrimination laws, which actually wind up offending a lot more people and tend to get abused in the interest of a sort of reverse discrimination. Concerned about the high cost of health insurance and how only a really small fraction of the country don't have access to health insurance? Well, force everyone to get insurance, which ironically drives up the cost of insurance for most everyone. Upset about how people can't live off the income of an entry-level position that was never meant to be a career choice to begin with? Well, force everyone to pay a ridiculously high minimum wage, which ironically forces more unskilled labor out of the market. And more pertinent to the issues we like to focus on here, are you clutching your pearls about how 1/1200ths of the U.S. population are committing gun violence? Well, try to enact gun legislation that makes the remaining 99.88% harder to own a gun. And that segues into perhaps the biggest likeness between progressives and the Redcoats. You see, the events leading up to the armed confrontation at Lexington and Concord started with the Crown's efforts to disarm the colonists at Massachusetts. The Crown's Secretary of State to the colonies, William Lega, Earl of Dartmouth, sent order to the military governor of Massachusetts, General Thomas Gage, to disarm the rebels. Gage put Lieutenant Colonel Francis Smith in charge of that operation. The local militia had been stockpiling arms and ammunition in anticipation of Crown response to the colonial unrest in Massachusetts, and that was the target of the British regulars. However, these plans reached the ears of people like Samuel Adams and John Hancock long before Gage received them. Paul Revere's famous ride set off the colony's alarm and muster system, which was a system of bells and alarm guns and other noisemakers intended to wake up people and mobilize the local militia. By the way, despite the left's best efforts to deride Sarah Palin for elucidating and expounding on that fact, she was right. And well, you know the rest of the story, and it's all thanks to the right to keep and bear arms, which was instrumental in making this country free and keeping it free ever since. But getting back to the original question, which side of the ideological divide most closely resembles the Redcoats' efforts to disarm the people? I think it's pretty clear. But the real question is why? The Second Amendment is an enumerated civil right that provides material defense for all the other rights that we can exercise, enjoy, and benefit from when the philosophical and political defenses of those self-same rights break down. And with that thought in mind, enjoy your 4th, made possible in part by the right to keep and bear arms.